Today we're going to show you how to assemble the hat trick triple bunk from Bargain Bunks. Before you get started with assembly, we want to go ahead and make sure that you have everything on your pallet or in your box that you're supposed to have. So let's look at those now. To start with, you're going to have two twin beds that go on the bottom of your bunk. Headboard, footboard for each one are both labeled underneath with either a T1 or a T2. Headboard and footboard should both have T1, and that bed over there should have T2. With these beds, you should also have longer bed rails that also have that T1 or T2. So you can go ahead and separate those out at the beginning so that you'll have everything you need for those beds when the time comes. For your top bed, you're going to have pre-assembled, sorry about that, you have pre-assembled two tall ends. These will actually save you time in a few minutes. We've already gone ahead and made those for you, and we'll be using those in our top long bunk. You should also have 4 gates. 2 gates should be full length from end to end, and 2 of these gates are going to have a slight opening on one end. Those are going to be your front gates. You'll have your storage box for your top bed, your nightstand that goes in between your 2 lower beds. You'll have this tall board right here. This goes in the back for structure, your ladder for structure in the front, and then you'll have your bed supports from the back, and this piece right here is going to be a vital little piece later on that will show you where it goes. And then lastly, in that pallet, you're also going to have a hardware bag that's going to have all the hardware needed for all 3 beds. All these are the exact same size and diameter, so you don't have to worry about sorting those out ahead of time. You'll have a slatted base for both of your little beds underneath, as well as a longer slatted base for your top bed. So now that we know we have everything in the pallet, let's go ahead and get started with the build. For this part, we suggest that you have a partner to help you put it together. And this particular bed, it's best if we start from the back and move forward. So we're going to show you our numbering system to get started so that you'll be able to save yourself a little bit of time. This piece we showed you a little bit earlier has numbers throughout. Everywhere we have a bolt, we have it actually numbered. This is 15, 16, 17. This side's 13, 12, and 11. Those numbers are going to correspond with the ends of these boards here. So we have, every one of those boards have a number on them, and they have a direction that it's going to be facing. So with that in mind, we're going to line up the numbers and the numbers on the corners as well as the numbers on the ends of these boards and put this together. To save ourselves a little bit of time, we've already started putting these bolts in place so that we can save some time on the video as well as in the assembly of this bed. So when you're putting it together, if you want to save yourself a little bit of time, just take these hex bolts and just simply put them in the hole to get started. It's a normal 3/8 hex bolt there. All right, let's go ahead and get going. So we're going to start with this top rail, and with the help of a partner, we're going to pick up that one side and slide it into place, and then we're just going to push those bolts into place. You don't actually have to tighten them down at this time. We're just getting them into place so that the bed can be stable to hold together. We're going to get this middle and do the same thing. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to get this gate. And then you're going to take these bottom supports down here, still following the number system, and line them up right up with the bottom, and it just sits right on that second step, and you put those bolts in as well. Where it's important that your bed is square so that your bolts can all fall into place like they're supposed to. And now you have the outside of the back of your bed, and we're going to go ahead and follow through with the front rails. Now that we have the back assembled, we're going to go ahead and move on to the front. Go ahead and grab your ladder because this is going to be essential for that front support. So we're going to start same way we did in the back, and just come about halfway through the front while he's grabbing the front gate there. Again, pay attention to your numbers. And I'm just going to hold this side steady while he sets those bolts in there. There we go. And then we can put the ladder into place and grab that last gate. If you're having problems with any of the bolts going in the holes, just make sure you're squared up. The ladder wants to be squared here. You want to make sure these front corners are squared here, and everything should go right into place. All right, so now that we have the outside of the bed, we're going to go ahead and tighten it down. To do this, you're going to use simple tools that you already have in your toolbox. Either a 9/16 or a 14 millimeter is going to work out just fine for these tools. You need a washer and a nut for each one of these bolts. And let's go ahead and go on inside the bed so you can see how this goes together. So in each one of these, we've simply gone ahead and started out by putting that washer in that nut already into place. You're going to hand tighten it and then just take your tools and tighten everything down. All right, so this final piece before you put the slatted base down, we showed you this piece before, it's going to sit right on top of this ledge on the front and the back. We've included in your bag 4 long screws, 2.5-inch drywall screws. We've already pre-drilled your holes. And you're just going to put it right in the center there between your two bed rails and between your two bed rails back there and secure it. This piece right here is vital for your bed to not squeeze towards the middle. So definitely make sure you secure this piece before we go on to those slatted bases. Okay, now that we've secured the middle, we're going to go ahead and put on your slatted base so you can get your mattress in your box up there. We've started by taking the entire slatted base, the longer of that we saw earlier, and we're going to start it at that end down there and secure it with 2 of the little screws that we've already put in your bag. Once we get that piece in there, we're going to slowly pull this side across the bed and just let it accordion out from side to side all the way to the other end. Now we're ready to assemble the 2 bottom beds. To do this, we suggest that you do the assembly in the middle of the floor and then move the bed underneath. Otherwise it gets a little bit crowded. Remember that numbering system we showed you before on these standalone beds? We're going to get a closer shot here. This is bed twin number 2, and this is the right foot. So we're going to make sure when we're looking at the bed that we're looking at the right side foot. That's where this one's going to go. His on the other side says left foot, so it's going to go on that side of bed 2. And we're going to go ahead and put those in place. And by now, you're a pro at assembling these bed rails. Again, you're going to do it just like you assembled the loft bed. You'll put it into place and then simply push those bolts into place, tighten them down. Before you put the slatted bases in, we're going to move those beds underneath that top bed so that you won't have to trip over them a little bit later. Okay, so now your bed's pretty much put together. You just have to put your slatted base on these 2 bottom beds and you are ready for your mattresses. Just in case you missed it on the top, we're going to show you again how to do that slatted base on the bottom. When those slatted bases came to you in shipping, they had some black strapping. You're going to simply cut those black straps, set the whole pile right there on your bed rails. Secure that first one with those little screws that we gave you, and then you're just going to simply pull these slats out till you have them nice and flat. They should be a little bit snug. That's to make sure that your child's safe when they're in their bed and they don't have any gaps. But once they're all flat, then you can go ahead and take your nail gun or your screw gun or your screwdriver and go ahead and secure each one of these slats. That way you have a nice slatted base for mattress support and you're ready to go. Last thing we want to show you before you put those mattresses on is the box. This simply can be placed on the left or the right. It's not attached to anything, but this box right here clears up that space between the mattress and the end of the bed so that you don't have any gaps for your child to possibly get injured through. We appreciate you buying the hat trick. If you have any questions, you can feel free to call us anytime at 864-706-2896, or you can email us at ourbargainbox@gmail.com.